Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we'll be focusing on the day of the COP27, which was held in the city of Peace, the city of Sharm el-Sheikh, the resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. Of course, as we did see in the past week, the activities, the sessions that took place in terms of preserving the environment and protecting for the future generations the climate changes and the negative impacts of the climate changes, how we could be dealing with that as soon as possible to be evading serious loss and damage for the resources for the future generations. And we will be heading to the top stories for today, and they have come from the presidential activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. One of them is a meeting held by His Excellency President al-Sisi on Sunday to discuss the projects of the Suez Canal Economic Zone. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassam Radi said that the meeting reviewed the zone's investment projects and the efforts to back the industrial areas planned for the zone in cooperation with the foreign partners. Radi said that the localization of the renewable energy products and the green fuel were also atop the agenda of the meeting. The meeting was attended by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Central Bank Charge d'Affaires Governor Sayyid Hassan Abdullah, and the Ministers of Electricity, Finance, Population and the Urban Societies and Water Resources, as well as the head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority. On the other hand, the head or the president of the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, expressed Egypt's keenness on enhancing relations with the United States in various domains. The top diplomat's remarks came during his meeting with a number of American Congress members on Sunday on the sidelines of the COP27. Shoukry pointed out to the great interaction between the two sides during the conference through several official meetings on different levels, topped by the summit talks held between President al-Sisi and the American counterpart Joe Biden. Meanwhile, the American delegation praised the Egyptian efforts in organizing the climate conference and its capabilities to host such an important event. The Congress members also hailed the strategic ties binding the two countries and the Egyptian key role in the region. And still in Sharm el-Sheikh, the city of Peace, as the United Nations Regional Office for Disaster Risk Reduction declared in a celebration Sharm el-Sheikh as a resilience hub within the MCR 2023. The event focused on the resilience and the adaptation to climate change at the local level of the city regarding its leading role in the field of disaster risk reduction. The declaration came during the activities of the COP27 in support of Egypt's efforts to transform Sharm el-Sheikh into a first green city. Under the MCR 2023 initiative, resilience hubs are considered as local authorities in the field of disaster reduction and are committed to support other Making Cities Resilience 2023 municipalities. We will be heading to a report during the course of the daily debate for tonight regarding the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past week, more specifically focusing on the COP27 and the activities and the session that took place in Sharm el-Sheikh.
In Sharm el-Sheikh, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Mrs. Kristalina Georgieva, Executive Director of the International Monetary Fund, on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received world leaders participating in Sharm el-Sheikh Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered Egypt's speech before the opening session of Sharm el-Sheikh Summit to implement climate pledges. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi addressed an appeal for peace to world leaders from Sharm el-Sheikh city to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered a speech at the Green Middle East Initiative Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Mrs. Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy, on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. The President received President Emmanuel Macron, President of the French Republic, on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered a speech on the initiative to coordinate climate action in the Middle East and the Eastern Mediterranean. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates, witnessed the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding to develop the measurement project for the construction of a 10-gigawatt wind power plant. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered a speech during the roundtable session entitled Investing in the Energy Future, Green Hydrogen. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered a speech during a session on the inauguration of the first phase of the green hydrogen production project for the Norwegian company Scatec. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Samia Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi, in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi went on a morning bike tour in Sharm el-Sheikh, during which he inspected the environmentally friendly Green Zone, which witnessed many events and activities during the World Climate Summit, and he met with a number of young people and foreigners participating in the summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, during his bicycle tour in Sharm el-Sheikh, met with a Swedish woman, an activist in the field of climate, who cut 7,000 kilometers from Sweden by bicycle on a 4-month trip to participate in the COP27 conference. Launching a joint statement between the European Union and Egypt on the partnership on renewable hydrogen. Launching a joint statement between Egypt and Belgium to launch the Global Renewable Hydrogen Forum. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received in Sharm el-Sheikh Mrs. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, and her accompanying delegation on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the U.S. President Joe Biden in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of the COP27 World Climate Summit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi bid farewell to U.S. President Joe Biden after his participation in the International Climate Summit in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Welcome back. You're still watching a special episode regarding the activities and the sessions that are being held in Sharm el-Sheikh for the COP27. And I am honored to be having with me in the studio to be shedding more light on the activities of the conference is Dr. Hassan Dessouky, the Acting Dean of the Faculty of Basic Sciences at Al Galela University. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you.
Anytime. Of course, regarding your experience, decades of experience in terms of renewable energy for the future generations, how can that be implemented on the ground? Because we have seen pledges all over the past years regarding the COP27, the COP26 in Glasgow, and even before that, the pledges made by the more industrialized nations, the richer nations, to be depending more and more on renewable energy. How do they see the future of this type of energy and the capability of Egypt to be transforming to the renewable energy in the near future as soon as possible?
Right. Thanks again for actually having me, Mr. Ahmed, here with the daily debate. Actually, I'm actually happy to actually have the COP27 here happening on the land of Egypt,
yes,
and the city of peace. This is very important, and all the world now watching Egypt see how Egypt actually committed to the climate change. And to be honest, the world actually worked on the climate change for a while.
Yes.
But this summit, which actually the COP27, it's the Conference of Partners, number 27. The theme of this one is actually action and implementation.
Yes.
Right. So now we need actually to make action.
Not just pledges.
Not just a pleasure. We talk many, right, and we have statements and everything, and then now we come to the action, because it's a very serious. We need to take action now. If I want to extend my talk about the renewable energy, right, I have experience on this one because I spent a long time in United Kingdom, working actually in one of the big centers there, working on advanced material to help energy consumption.
Yes.
Right. Which energy, specific energy, is all type of renewable energy, starting from solar cell, wind turbine, gases, methane, all of this, all the green energy we can use and apply, right? And they already apply this one in different sectors there.
And all of these can be implemented here in Egypt?
Definitely, and Egypt already started. I'll give just example, very straightforward. The
Yes,
electric cars. Electric cars, the body of the car is actually made of very lightweight material. This light material Could be from aluminium or material called composite material. The composite material made of carbon fiber, right, which is very light and have high stiffness compared to the metal or the steel otherwise.
Yes.
And we use this one. Why we use this one? To reduce actually the CO2 and the CO, all of this emission, which one of the important pillar of the COP27.
Yes, Doctor, we will be heading to the first report of the evening for the special episode regarding the COP27 and the activities of the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. As the doctor said, that it is the summit of action and implementation, not just pledges, with special attention to the communities with vulnerable climate situations. All of this in the upcoming report.
Even before the official opening of the UN COP27 climate conference at Sharm el-Sheikh on the 6th of November, a major breakthrough had been achieved after lengthy negotiations by placing the issue of loss and damage on the agenda of the most important world gathering on climate change for the first time. A new measure obliging the world's wealthy and most polluting countries to face up to their responsibility to combat the real and imminent danger facing humanity if we maintain the current levels of greenhouse gas emissions. This was a practical translation of the slogan that President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi proposed for this World Summit meeting that Egypt is proud to be hosting in the inauguration COP27 speech. President el-Sisi said that this was the implementation summit. Talk about the grave dangers facing the world because of climate change is easy, and so are financial pledges that always fall short by the world's wealthy nations to help the developing countries confront the immediate effects that they are suffering from because of increasing temperatures. Adopting loss and damage as an item on the summit agenda is the real test in the coming years for the world's wealthiest countries that produce over 90% of greenhouse gas emissions if they are serious about implementing their pledges. President el-Sisi was no less frank in his warning message and demand for real action. He noted that the world leaders gathered in Sharm el-Sheikh were responsible to their peoples to provide answers to difficult but necessary questions. The president questioned, are we closer today to achieving our goals than we were a year ago? Have we been able to assume our responsibilities as world leaders in dealing with the most serious and influential issues of the century? The most important questions that we should be asking ourselves is, does what we aspire to achieve fall under the scope of possible? Undoubtedly, it is not impossible if there is a genuine will and sincere intention to promote joint climate action and transform the outcomes of our meetings into a tangible reality. While the leaders of the developing countries stressed in their speeches that they should not pay the price for disasters caused by the wealthy nations that are responsible for most greenhouse gas emissions, President el-Sisi said that the future generations should also be spared more damage. He stated that the present generation of world leaders should make a better future for the generations to come. Generations that must not bear the consequences of mistakes they have not made. President el-Sisi also voiced the call to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Environmental activists have been focused on how the ongoing 9-month-old war poses a major challenge to earlier pledges to out the world's dependence on fossil fuels. But President el-Sisi rightly noted that the developing countries can no longer bear the heavy cost of the war on their economies. This part of the world in particular was hardly recovering from the devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic when the war broke out in Ukraine, causing more suffering and damage to local economies. The message from the COP27 climate conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, known as the City of Peace, is that we urgently need to restore cooperation among the world's countries in order to solve the problems threatening all humanity, whether climate change or a disastrous war fought between the world's wealthiest nations without any regard for the devastating effects on the majority of the world's developing nations. At previous climate summits, the wealthy nations pledged to devote $100 billion annually to helping the developing countries confront the disastrous effects of climate change, with these having been clearly seen in Pakistan, Somalia, and in many other parts of the world. But the world's top polluters, led by the United States, China, and Europe, have failed to meet this figure from one year to the next. Making things worse for the developing countries has been the fact that part of the pledges aiming to help them invest in renewable energy is offering in the form of loans and not grants, adding more burdens to their already difficult economic situation due to soaring debts and rising poverty and hunger. By insisting that loss and damage must be an item on the summit agenda, Egypt and other African countries are not seeking a legal framework to hold the wealthy nations legally to account, and they are not demanding reparations. Instead, they are seeking to save the world, as was eloquently stated by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in his opening remarks at the summit.
Welcome back. You're still watching a special episode regarding the COP27 and its activities in Sharm el-Sheikh. Dr. Hassan Dessouky, as the acting dean of the Faculty of the Basic Sciences at Al Galila University, how is the university being represented at the COP27? What are the activities that the university and the faculty could be providing for the future generations to be teaching awareness for the students, for the people in general, about the future generations, that we need to be using our resources in a better way?
Right. Specifically at Galila University, and I have to mention the Professor Mohammed El-Shinnawi, the president of Galila University.
Yes.
He's actually leading this seriously a few months ago, before actually the COP happening. And we prepare a lot of activity at the Galila University on the level of the students and the staff. And the students actually made a lot of activities from all the different fields. So not specifically science or engineering. So we have students from fine art and design, which they made the maquette of the university from recycled material, right? It's impressive. And this one now at the post of the Galila University at the Green Zone in Sharm el-Sheikh.
There's a booth there.
There is a booth there. We have the station there. We have colleagues representing the Galila University there. And our university president also there. All the support there. We have a team from students and staff representing Galila University. And this is a good model actually to show how actually Galila committed, right, toward the climate change, using recycled material to put them in action, not by the science and the students or the engineering, no, it's by actually the help of the fine art and design students as well. Adding to this, actually, we teach, right, courses called the climate change, right? One of the university requirements, which is important. So the students actually can't graduate from the university until have this course. It's a climate change course. And we have other courses related to the environment, right? We have energy courses. We have all these different courses which can help, right, our community, Egypt.
Do you think these courses could be changing the mindset for the students regarding the future, regarding the awareness about the importance of climate change, preserving the environment globally, not just for Egypt and Africa, to be giving better ideas in terms of the resources that we have, more specifically for water, for example,
Yes.
for the future?
Yeah, of course, Mr. Ahmed, because we didn't have these courses before, right? If you remember, actually, while you are at the university, I'm at the university,
Yes.
our stage, for age. We didn't have such courses. Why we have these courses now? Because we have a climate change, and we have to stress on this type of courses to help our climate.
So we know the problem, and we are giving solutions.
We know the problem, and this is one of the, what do you call it, one of the objective. We have the national universities actually build on this one. The national universities, they are different from the other universities. They have these specific courses to solve problem, to solve issue, to help our country, to help Egypt, like transferring Egypt to a green country like other countries.
Yes, Doctor, heading to the Green City, Sharm el-Sheikh, on the sidelines of the COP27 conference held in the City of Peace, Sharm el-Sheikh. The Nile TV senior correspondent Taghreed Hussein conducted the following interview with His Excellency Dr. Laszlo Palkovics, the Minister of Technology and Industry in Hungary. So we'll be having more details in the upcoming interview.
On the sidelines of COP27, while we are still in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, and witnessing the different activities and meetings of head of delegations here at COP27, we're really honored, and it's a great pleasure to have with us His Excellency Laszlo Palkovics. He's the Minister of Technology and Industry in Hungary. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us here at the news sector and at Nile TV International. We are talking COP27, definitely a very significant COP for Egypt. It has been really dynamic here, and high time to move from vision to implementation. We've been in partnership with Hungary vis-a-vis fighting climate change, and lots of activities has been done.
Yes, definitely. Last time when I was in Egypt, it was in June actually, and then I visited several ministries, among others Transportation Ministry, where Hungary delivers the railway coaches to Hungary. That's also one step towards the climate impact reduction. Instead of the cars on the road, we are using railway. And also we have been talking about the cooperation in the field of renewable energy sources. Definitely Egypt is going to play a very important role in the future, just because of the geographical location and also the weather conditions. I think that Egypt is one of the most promising place in North of Africa to produce green energies, in Egypt, but also export it to other countries. So I think that the ideas what we all had at that time, Hungary also contributes a little bit to this. I think that goes in the right direction, and I think that the COP27 is the right place to talk about that.
Yes, definitely. We're talking also climate tech here at COP27. Technology is definitely the future, and Egypt has been moving fast towards digitalization and also green economy. And I guess that this is featuring high on the agenda of discussions.
Absolutely. You mentioned technology. I'm an engineer, worked 20 years in the industry, and as an untypical politician, of course we can talk about future targets, we can set targets for how to green the environment, but basically the final thing is the implementation. And I think that this COP27, what we are doing now, that this is the right time when we need to say that, okay, we have already defined the targets, we all know what to do, but now start with the implementation. And the implementation means technology. So when I'm asked why don't we have in Hungary Environment Ministry or Circular Economy Ministry, because at final end it will be all technology. How to deploy the targets to technological solutions, how to balance the grid, how to develop the electric grid, how to implement storage technologies like batteries or other technologies, how to use this technology for greening the industries, like for example steel industries or cement industries. These are all technologies, and I think that, and that's why I'm glad to hear here as well. That's what we are doing in Hungary. So deploy always our ideas into projects. Project means it has a start, it has an end, it has a budget, and there are people who are responsible for that. We also made our energy transition plan in Hungary. It's not as easy as in Egypt, because we are a landlocked country in the center of Europe. So we need, and also the country is not very big, so we need to generate our energy differently. And I think think that this different way means green sources, so wind, solar, geothermal energies, biogas, biomethane. So these are all solutions which requires technology. But the good thing is that all this technology is there. So we are not talking about space technologies which will come in 50 years, but all the technologies what we need to implement in order to reach the targets of the COP27. These are technologies what we have. We need to have the money and we need to have the willingness. We need to decide, and this is the responsibility of the governments. Let us stop the talking and try to make the implementation.
Yes, definitely from vision to action. This is actually the slogan. We're talking implementation, and this is what is really important here, where we have stakeholders, think tanks, the youth, the representatives of the civil society organizations, all working hand in hand in order to achieve action. We are in need of action. Your Excellency, talking technology and concerning Egyptian-Hungarian relations, there has been a sense of partnership between both countries in that respect, in the field of technology and also in the field of industry. The sky is always the limit.
Yes, that's exactly like this. Egypt and Hungary has a long-term relationship in different fields. In Egypt, I might not pronounce it correctly, but Magyari means actually the railway, or the rail, because Hungary used to deliver rails already several decades ago. Also in the field of automotive industry, we have very good relationships. My mentor, when I was reading for my PhD, came from Egypt, so he was Egyptian scientist in Hungary as well. And now we are exploring the new opportunities to cooperate in the field of the renewable energy sources. I think that we already have the opportunity to establish and build solar power plants in Egypt. Hungarian companies are doing that, but we are going to continue with the hydrogen. The hydrogen is one of the energy source, and from our point of view, one of the storage substance where we can store the renewable energies when we are not going to use them. Here Egypt has really outstanding opportunities, but now it needs to turn into realization. Realization means as well that we need to also deliver somehow this, either liquid or gasified sources towards Europe. We need to build a pipeline. We need to build the electric lines as well, that Egypt can also contribute to the European energy environment. And frankly speaking, Egypt is the country in north of Africa who has the best opportunities, just because of the traditions what we have, also the technological development level in Egypt, and also the vicinity. So I think that Egypt is a very good partner for that.
Yes, definitely there are lots of incentives that Egypt is providing for investors, and giving lots of incentives is definitely reflected on the investment climate and also in the field of industries. How about in the investors' eye, in Hungarian investors' eye? How do they see the investment climate in Egypt? Definitely we have also lots of developmental projects in the new republic, and Hungary is a great friend and supporter and a partner in that respect.
Definitely, besides what we have already mentioned, the energy and renewable energy sources investments, we have other opportunities as well. When I was here in June, we have been elaborating on new fields, for example, defense industry. Egypt, during the last decades, has built up a very high level defense industry. Hungary is doing the same, but we need to have technological partners. So that's why we also initiated discussions and visits to Hungary, that what is our demand, how can we contribute to the Egyptian industry of the defense, and how the Egyptian companies can come to Hungary and contribute to our success. So this is also something new. We also agreed that industry always means education, always means research as well. We also elaborating the opportunities that how can we cooperate in the field of research and development in the automotive industry, where we have also a few things commonly, but also in the defense industry.
Yes, it's a COP of implementation, from vision to implementation. We're talking also here education, we're talking the sense of awareness. And the youth, we can see the youth here in organization. Egypt is investing in the youth, and definitely ambassadors of the youth as ambassadors of climate change. How do you see this, Your Excellency, the role of the youth vis-a-vis decision-making and taking action on climate change?
Actually, I'm already almost 60, so what we are building, we are not building it for us anymore, but we are building it for your
For the
generation,
future generations.
for the younger generation, and that's why it is very important that this will not remain always on the political sentence level, but and not only on our age, but we also involve the younger generation. So we try to do that. We have also different initiatives in Hungary. We started an initiative that young students, really young ones, so between 6 and 10, they write a letter to the decision makers, to us, and making some proposals. We got almost 600 of this kind of letters. I'm going to answer some of those actually. We need to take their opinion seriously because we are talking about the future, and of course it can be done via the education. But education means not only to develop this attitude to be responsible for the environment, to be responsible for the future, but education means also technological education at universities, at vocational institutions. There also we have many opportunities to cooperate with Egyptian universities. Egypt has a very well-developed university system. Large universities are here. I think that we have all the opportunities that we can elaborate it as well.
Yes, it's a COP of opportunities, COP27. It's a COP of chances for working for the future generations. And as we have discussed with His Excellency, that the sky is always the limit. We're talking action, we're talking implementation, all hands on. We're talking with this sense of togetherness, because with this sense of togetherness, we can definitely achieve change. Your Excellency, a final message on your behalf from the mother of the world as we attend COP. What would you say?
Well, this is our responsibility now that we need to start the actions. As I mentioned, the decision makers, the politicians, we like to talk. But now time is over for talking. Time is over for planning. We know exactly what to do. We understand exactly the technology, the implications. We have also the financial funding for that. So now we need to act, and we need to act now.
I thank you very much, Your Excellency, Laszlo Palkovic.
Thank you very much, Rita.
Hungarian Minister of Technology and Industry, for being with us here exclusively on Nile TV International and at the Egyptian television. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was His Excellency, the Hungarian Minister of Technology and Industry, Palkovic, talking COP27 and highlighting the strong partnership between Egypt and Hungary. Long live our relations and forward ever. And still continue our coverage here, bringing you the beat from COP27, from vision to implementation at Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt.
Yes, that was the beat and the vibes coming from Sharm el-Sheikh, from vision to implementation. Dr. Hassan Dessouky, the types of renewable energy, as you mentioned, they could be implemented here and applied here in Egypt. What are the types of research in terms of the renewable energy for the future that could be implemented here in our universities as well, from a vision to be transferred and transformed into an implementation or reality on the ground?
Right. This is a very good point, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you.
The research is very important, actually, to transfer the vision to action.
Yes.
Right. You have to have a research, right, in between. In terms of the research and the relation with the renewable energy, right, we already started in Egypt here to implement this one. For example, we have at Galala University solar energy station. It's a small station. We have proposal and project. We have this one now in action. We put the panel there to actually reduce our uses from the electricity and to generate our electricity. This is the solar energy panels, which is very common now everywhere. We have also just 10-15 minutes away from Galala, Za'farana, we have a big plant of wind turbine, generate a lot of energy to the region, and we also use energy from there. So actually, the Galala University use renewable energy, and we are creating our own renewable energy. This is the two main example of renewable energy: solar energy and wind turbine, or the wind energy. There is other energy which come from gases like green, actually hydrogen. All of this type of energy. What we need actually here, Mr. Ahmed, every researcher have to orient his research or her research toward this problem, right? And many of us now working on this problem. We don't need the conventional research, which is not actually implemented, not solving a problem.
And can this research lead to profitable results, meaning money for the economy?
Yes, of course. Any investment or any industry is actually based on idea, and this idea actually developed gradually until to come to the action.
Yes.
The product. It started with from lab to the factory or to the product at the end. So the research is one of the important. I have to mention something very important here, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes.
The Professor Ayman Ashur, the Minister of Higher Education here, his area of research is architecture, right? The architecture, one of the important issue actually we need to focus on to solve this problem. We can have environmental architecture. There is also sustainable design. When you design building, right? So what means sustainable? You have to be sustainable. Sustainable means actually to take less energy, right? To be actually built with actually sustainable material as well, right? So all the staff or the researchers working in this area now, they are focused on sustainable design to make actually environmentally friendly architecture, and which we call it at the end smart city, smart or urban design or urban city.
Like the new cities, like the new administrative capital.
All of this, yes, they're like our new city. So all of this already implemented. We are on the way. We are on the track.
Yes.
Right. And as the minister said on the report before, the technology there, right? Just we need actually to grab this technology and apply this technology, right? Where this technology come from? It came from the research, right? And at Galala University, I'm talking about Galala University because I'm working with them.
Yes.
Right? For example, I have a project from SCDF, right, on actually oil and gas application, right? New material to be applied on the coating of the pipes. You know, the pipes under the water actually suffering of a lot of the corrosion and everything, rust, everything from actually being underwater. We're trying to solve this problem, right? To have a sustainable actually pipelines to transfer the gas from underwater to outside.
Yes, which was leading to a green path or a green future, as we can see in Sharm el-Sheikh nowadays. Dr. Hassan Dessouky, the acting dean of the Faculty of Basic Sciences at Al Galala University. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. Thanks a lot. Thanks
Anytime.
for the team. Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of the special episode for the COP27 and the activities that are taking place in the green city of Sharm el-Sheikh. I will be leaving you, however, with a report about the United States, the European Union and Germany pledging about $500 million for Egypt to be financing the transfer or the transformation of Egypt into a greener and the cleaner energy. Thank you for watching and goodbye. See you there.
The United States, Germany and Egypt joined forces to accelerate the Middle Eastern nations' green targets, declaring a faster expansion of renewable energy in the country. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and U.S. counterpart Joe Biden held a joint meeting on the sidelines of COP27 summit held in Egypt's Red Sea resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh. The US, the European Union, and Germany will provide a package of $500 million to finance and facilitate Egypt's transition to clean energy. Biden said that the investment would help Egypt reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 10%. Biden also announced that they would work with Egypt to reduce green gas emissions through capturing nearly 14 billion cubic meters of natural gas, which Egypt currently flares, vents, or leaks from its oil and gas operations. Egypt has previously announced a goal of producing 20% of its electricity from renewables, and the country's now revised goal is to reach 42% of electricity generated by renewables in 2035. The new package projects Egypt will now reach the goal 5 years early. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister and President of the 27th UN Climate Change Conference COP27, Sameh Shoukry, and U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry announced $150 million initiative to accelerate adaptation in the African continent, meant to save millions of lives and their livelihoods. An additional $15 billion investment announced for the Nexus of Food, Water and Energy NWFE program will fund implementation with one $10 billion energy project, 5 projects for food security and agriculture, and 3 irrigation and water projects. The Accelerating Adaptation in Africa initiative was announced at a special COP27 session titled Advancing Adaptation Action in Africa. Foreign Minister Shoukry said that the key challenge for the African countries is to access funding for climate action. Recognizing that progress towards adapting to climate consequences and enhancing resilience is crucially needed, we launched a couple of days ago here at COP27 the Sharm el-Sheikh Adaptation Agenda, he said. He added that this agenda comprises a total of 30 global adaptation outcome targets by 2030 that are urgently needed to address the adaptation gap and increase the resilience of 4 billion people through accelerating transformation across 5 impact systems: food and agriculture, water and nature, coastal and oceans, human settlements, and infrastructure. As part of the U.S. Emergency Plan for Adaptation and Resilience, PREPARE, the U.S. has doubled its adaptation fund pledge to $100 million. The Accelerating Adaptation in Africa initiative will accelerate PREPARE's work across the continent. The initiative has potential to result in $4 to $10 of benefits for every dollar invested. U.S. President Joe Biden also announced the launch of a new initiative to support Egypt in developing 10 gigawatts of new wind and solar energy while decommissioning 5 GW of efficient natural gas generation.